Hey friends, Kelly Calabrese here with your intentionally fabulous tip of the day. So today we're talking divorce. Man, that could be kind of a tough subject, right? Well, 54% of first marriages end in divorce. So it affects at least half of you that are listening, and that's if you're on your first marriage. If you're on your second marriage, that actually goes up to a 60% chance of divorce, and third marriages, unfortunately, the numbers don't get any better. I wish it wasn't true because I love marriage. I believe in marriage. I think it's an amazing way to be united with someone and just have twice everything when it's an incredible aligned marriage. But the third marriages, it's 75%. So let's take a look at some of these numbers because really we need to go in with our eyes wide open, right? When we hear young people especially getting engaged, we wonder, do they really know what marriage means and what it takes to have a great marriage? And the beginning, you could almost date anyone and it could be great. But once you get past those first couple of months and years and decades, it can certainly be challenging. So who gets divorced? Let's look at that. First, people who wait till they are over 25 have a lower divorce rate than if you got married young. People who finish high school, divorce rate goes down. College, it goes down even further. And advanced degrees, it goes down even further. If neither of you drink alcohol, your divorce rate is lower. If one of you drinks alcohol, your divorce rate is much higher. And if you both drink, it actually goes down a little bit, surprisingly, because you have that in common. If you're fighting, your divorce rate goes up. I'll tell you what the average divorce rate is right now. Any guesses? Put it in the chat if you have any guesses what the average divorce rate was. I was really surprised, but it's 30 years old, and the average marriage is lasting a little under 8 years. The second highest divorce age is 50, and it's a lot more traumatic when you're 50 because there's a chance you've been married for a longer time, but depression is higher, less chance of getting remarried when you're older, especially for women. If you had a very expensive ring, you have a higher divorce rate. If you had a huge wedding, higher divorce rate. If you have different religious backgrounds, if you have different political views, if you grew up in very different cultures, even different demographics, geographics, your divorce rate is higher. If you waited to live together, then your divorce rate is lower. So if you live together first, the divorce rate is actually higher. The later you waited in age to have sex, if you had sex before you were 18, your divorce rate is higher. The more partners you had before you got married, your divorce rate is higher. Oh my goodness, are any of you surprised by any of these things? I totally was. Right now in the US, 15% of women are divorced. 75% of divorces are filed by women. That's on average. It's been as low as 66, but about 75 right now are from women. So COVID, we're showing that the divorce rates are increasing. They're getting higher. And really, we won't know till 2021. The number one month that divorces are filed is typically in March. And that's because people really start thinking about their new year in January, and they kind of get up the courage to, file by March. Most people who are filing for divorce, they've been thinking about it for at least 2 years. And if the other person doesn't know, they get really blindsided. And then the person who has been thinking about it for 2 years, they kind of feel relieved once they get it out there and they're like, okay, good, I said that. Like now I can move on and I've already had 2 years to think about what my plan will be. And the other person may be just totally in shock and just really starting this process of, figuring it out. So infidelity is not the number one reason, but it is definitely up there. Lack of communication is actually the number one reason people cannot communicate. These are not things that we are taught in school or even in our homes. We're watching examples maybe of not great communication. If our parents stayed married, our chances of divorce are less. If our parents divorce, our chances of divorce are higher. So number one reason is lack of communication, things in common, infidelity, finances. These are all the reasons why people get divorced. If you earned more money, so higher income, above 50,000, 100,000, as you go up, the divorce rate goes down. So higher income, less divorce. More college educated, less divorce. Wait to get married, wait to have sex. All these things make sense because the more mature you are, the more educated you are, um, the more earning potential that you have. It just shows higher levels of responsibility, critical thinking, hopefully communication, and so on. So those are some of the stats out there on divorce. Looking at those stats, I was actually one of the least likely to get divorced. Waited till I was 24 to get married. Oh, wait to have children is another one. Until after marriage, did that. Higher educated, higher income. Parents were together, similar geographical background, cultural background, religious background, political background is really all aligned. So also age, if you're close in age, you have a lower divorce rate. The bigger the age spread, the greater the divorce rate you have. So if you're more than 5, 10, 15 years apart, your divorce rate is higher. So friends, these are statistics. It doesn't mean you need to be a statistic. And especially if you have children, they do not need to be a statistic. You can still have a really great outcome. If you're not married and you want to get married, I would suggest you do premarital counseling. Even talk to a divorce attorney. Talk to someone who is a family counselor and get their perspective so you know how to communicate best and you know what you're getting into when you get into it. So I hope that helped you. As you may know, I actually have a program called Intentionally Fabulous Single Redefined. That's for women going through this stage of separation, divorce, post-divorce, really wanting to heal, become the best, highest version of themselves. So whether they stay single, whether they date, whether they remarry, that they are just in a great place with self-love, in forgiveness, knowing where their identity is, just being an amazing, strong woman who is healthy and is joy-filled and celebrates life, which I would hope anyone would want. So I would invite you to join my private Facebook group. It's called Intentionally Fabulous. It's on Facebook. Or right now you can go to a page. We just had a new program get started this week. So it's intentionallyfabulous.com/now. I hope you're healthy. I hope if you are married that you decide to stay committed and work on it. It can be an amazing, amazing, beautiful thing when you have a healthy marriage. So have an intentionally fabulous day. Love you all. Stay awesome.